I should have noticed the signs earlier. Looking back, it wasn't just one thing. It was a series of subtle shifts, small cracks in our relationship that I dismissed as normal. I chalked them up to stress, routine, and the inevitable ebb and flow of a long-term commitment. But the truth was right in front of me the entire time. At first, it was the little things, the way she used to greet me with a kiss when I came home from work, but now, some days, I'd be lucky to get more than a glance from her, eyes glued to her phone. Then there were the late nights, the sudden extra hours of the office, the same excuse every time. Big project. Work's crazy. It was easy to believe at first, but then it started getting worse. Missed calls, unanswered texts, and the way she would glance at her phone, a flicker of hesitation crossing her face before she placed it face down on the table. That one hurt the most. Her phone used to be something she left lying around, unlocked and unattended. But now it was practically attached to her side. I wanted to believe the excuses. Maybe she was just stressed, overworked. Maybe I hadn't been the husband she needed, not giving her enough attention, not making her feel loved. But deep down I knew. It's funny how your brain works when you don't want to see the truth. It convinces you that things aren't as bad as they seem, that maybe you're just overthinking. But that delusion shattered one Tuesday evening when I walked in, tired from work, ready to just have a hot shower and a cold beer. But as I stepped into the kitchen, something caught my eye. Her tablet, sitting on the counter, the screen still glowing. At first, I thought nothing of it. She often left it lying around, using it for work, shopping, or random browsing. But then a notification flashed across the screen. A message, a name I didn't recognize. Last night was incredible. I can't wait to see you again. I felt it before I even fully processed the words, the sinking feeling in my stomach. It was as if the ground had just disappeared beneath me. The room suddenly felt too quiet. The air grew thick and suffocating. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. This wasn't just a mistake. This wasn't a slip-up. This was happening right under my nose. Instinct kicked in, and before my mind could even catch up with what was going on, I reached for the tablet. My fingers moved on their own, swiping the screen open. The password was the same as always, our wedding anniversary. The irony hit me like a punch in the gut. The messages were right there, an entire thread stretching back for months. At first, I told myself it wasn't what it seemed. Maybe it was just innocent banter, a joke. But as I scrolled through, my hope of any explanation quickly evaporated. His name was Daniel. He worked as a senior executive at her company. The messages weren't just flirtatious. They were explicit. They were detailed, things I hadn't heard in years, things she used to say only to me. I can't stop thinking about the way you touched me last night. I needed that so badly. I wish we had more time. I hate sneaking around like this. I sat there, shaking. My hands trembled as I scrolled. My wife, the woman I had devoted 10 years of my life to, was pouring herself into someone else's arms. She wasn't just cheating. She was invested. This wasn't a drunken mistake. It wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. This was an ongoing affair, calculated, rehearsed, and, worst of all, she didn't even seem to regret it. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I could have confronted her right there, screamed, demanded answers, thrown the tablet at the wall, and watched it shatter, just like the illusion of my marriage. But something stopped me. There was a cold, calculated part of me that had never spoken up before, a part that wasn't just hurt but angry. No, this wouldn't be easy. This wouldn't be a simple confrontation. I didn't just want to catch her. I wanted her to feel it, the decision. So I waited. I set the tablet down exactly how I had found it, ensuring the screen went dark. I went through the rest of my evening like nothing had changed. I cooked dinner. I watched TV. I kissed her goodnight. She had no idea that I had already begun planning her downfall. This wasn't going to be a quick, emotional blow-up. No, this was going to be an execution, and I was going to make sure she never forgot it. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her warmth beside me. I could hear the soft rhythm of her breathing. It felt surreal. Just hours ago, I had uncovered the biggest betrayal of my life. And yet, here I was pretending, playing the role of the loving husband, letting her believe everything was normal. The irony was almost funny. She had spent months deceiving me, sneaking around, spinning lies so effortlessly that I almost believed them. Now was my turn. I wasn't going to be the pathetic, broken husband sobbing over what she had done. No, I was going to make her regret it. I was going to destroy the fantasy she had built piece by piece. And when she least expected it, I was going to set fire to the wreckage. Step 1. Laying the foundation. The next morning, I acted as if nothing had changed. I got up, made coffee, kissed her cheek. She barely acknowledged me, distracted by her phone. No doubt texting him. I watched her from across the table, studying her, analyzing every gesture. The way she smirked slightly when she read a message. The way she ran her fingers through her hair. A subconscious attempt to look attractive even while alone. I had been so blind. How had I not seen it before? Babe, I said, taking a casual sip of my coffee. I was thinking we should go on a trip. She looked up surprised. A trip? Yeah, I said smoothly. Something special. Just the two of us for our anniversary. I could see the gears turning in her head. She hesitated for just a fraction of a second. If I hadn't been watching closely, I would have missed it. She was calculating, wondering if she could make time for Daniel. Then, relief flooded her face. She thought I was clueless. She thought I was trying to fix our marriage. Oh my God, she gushed, reaching across the table to take my hand. That sounds amazing. What are you thinking? I squeezed her fingers lightly, forcing a small smile. I'll take care of everything, I murmured. Just leave it to me. She beamed. I could see it in her eyes. She thought she had one. And that was exactly what I needed. Step 2, investigation. The moment she left for work, I grabbed my phone and made a call. Victor Harrington, private investigator, former cop, expert in exposing secrets, I said. Victor chuckled on the other end. They always do, he said. What do you need? I already know what's happening, I said. I just need everything. Pictures, messages, hotel records, the works. Victor was quiet for a moment. How bad do you want to ruin her? He asked. I smiled. Oh, Victor, you have no idea. By the end of the week, Victor had everything. Photos of them sneaking into hotels together. Screenshots of explicit messages exchanged late at night. Audio recordings of phone calls where she whispered things she hadn't said to me in years. I stared at the files on my laptop, my chest tightening. This was real. No more excuses. No more convincing myself that maybe I was overreacting. I was married to a cheater, and now it was time for her to pay. I picked up my phone and dialed the only other person who deserved to know the truth. Christine, Daniel's wife. She answered on the third ring. Hello. Her voice was confused, suspicious. Christine, I said, my voice calm, steady. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. There was a pause. Who is this? My name is Jason, I said. I'm Amanda's husband. Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. I heard the panic creeping into her voice. Oh my God, she exhaled. Yeah, no, I said. No, you're not lying. She whispered. Daniel wouldn't, he would. And he did. I sent her the files, the proof. I listened as she clicked through them, her breathing growing more erratic, the sound of betrayal sinking in. Then came a choked sob. I closed my eyes. I knew exactly how she felt. Christine wasn't just hurt. She was angry. She didn't just want a divorce. She wanted revenge. We could go public, she suggested. Expose them at work, ruin their reputations. No, I said quietly. That's too quick, too simple. Then what? She asked. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling, feeling the pieces of my plan finally fall into place. Christine, I murmured, my lips curling into a slow, cold smile. Let's make them suffer. I'll let a full week pass before putting the next phase of my plan into motion. Amanda thought she had successfully distracted me with her feigned affection, her sudden interest in our marriage, her over-the-top sweetness that was so clearly the guilty conscience trying to cover its tracks. I played my role flawlessly. I let her think I was just the loving, oblivious husband who had no clue that the woman sleeping beside me at night was whispering another man's name when she thought I wasn't listening. Every time she smiled at me, every time she kissed me, I smiled back because I knew what was coming. Step 1, making sure she's all in. One night after dinner, I poured her a glass of wine, and sat beside her on the couch. "Amanda," I said, stroking her hand softly, watching as she curled against me, content. "I was thinking our anniversary trip needs to be something truly special." She sipped her wine, humming in approval. "Oh, what do you have in mind?" I hesitated, pretending to be nervous, pretending that this moment was some deeply emotional decision for me. "I think we should invite some of our closest friends," I said carefully. "Make it a proper celebration." She blinked. She hadn't expected that. She had probably assumed this trip would be an easy excuse to sneak off with Daniel. "Oh," she said, trying to sound thrilled. "That's a great idea. I already spoke to your parents. They're excited." I added, "I also invited my sister and some of our friends from work. It's going to be unforgettable." She smiled. "Perfect performance." "That sounds amazing," she said, placing her hand on my chest. "I love you, Jason." I kissed her softly. "I love you too, sweetheart." The lie tasted bitter in my mouth. Step 2. Making the dinner unmissable. The resort I booked was nothing short of luxurious. 5-star service, a breathtaking rooftop venue, the kind of setting that screamed romance. I spared no expense because I knew this was my investment in her destruction. I made sure Amanda wasn't just excited. I made sure she was boasting about it. "Daniel, you're not going to believe the anniversary Jason is planning." She overheard herself giggling on the phone one night. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay in character. "Oh, really?" I heard Daniel chuckle. "He's actually putting in effort." The audacity of that arrogant bastard. "Yeah," she purred. "I almost feel bad, but at least I get the best of both worlds." I took a slow, deep breath. "Soon, Amanda. Very soon." Step 3. Christine's role. Christine had fully embraced the mission. She played her part perfectly, keeping Daniel in check, not letting on that she knew the two of us coordinated everything. She booked a flight to the same resort. She reserved a seat at the dinner. She gathered even more evidence. Our timing had to be flawless, 2 bombs going off at once. Amanda and Daniel thought they were safely playing their game, unaware that the walls were closing in. Step 4. The final bait. 2 days before the trip, Amanda and I went out for dinner, a nice, quiet date. I held her hand, played with her fingers, and gazed at her like I was still the same devoted husband who adored her. I let her feel secure. I let her believe the illusion. Then, as we were finishing dessert, I reached for my pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. She gasped. "Oh my God," she whispered. I saw it, the brief flicker of panic in her eyes. She thought it was an engagement ring, a renewal proposal, something that would make things harder for her. She was already thinking about how to reject it without exposing herself. I opened the box, just slightly, just enough for her to see a glimmer of something inside. Then I snapped it shut. "I'll save it for the anniversary," I murmured, watching the tension in her shoulders melt away. She exhaled with relief. "You're so sweet, Jason," she whispered, squeezing my hand. I kissed her softly. She had no idea what was coming. Step 5. The night before destruction. I barely slept the night before the trip, not because I was nervous, but because I was ready. Everything was set. The venue was confirmed. The guests were on their way. Christine was prepared with every single piece of evidence, and Amanda was blissfully unaware. I watched her pack her suitcase, humming to herself, trying on different outfits. She twirled in front of the mirror, posing in a new black dress. "What do you think?" she asked, flashing me a playful grin. I leaned against the doorway, smiling. "It's perfect." She didn't know it yet, but it was the last time she would ever wear something for me. Because after tomorrow night, she would never be mine again. The night of the anniversary dinner arrived, and the stage was set. The rooftop venue was perfection. Warm evening breeze, candles on the tables, and a breathtaking city skyline twinkling in the distance. Everything was arranged exactly how Amanda would want it. Grand, romantic, elegant. The guests arrived, everyone she wanted to impress. Her parents, my family, close friends. Amanda was glowing. She was the center of attention, sipping champagne, laughing, completely unaware that this night would become the most humiliating of her life. Just as the last guest was seated, I stood up. I tapped my glass, and the soft chimes silenced the room. "I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for being here tonight." I began, my voice calm and steady. 10 years of marriage is no small feat, and I feel so lucky to have spent them with a woman sitting beside me. Amanda smiled up at me, radiant, smug, proud. I let the silence stretch just long enough to build suspense, then I reached into my pocket. So tonight, I continued, pulling out a small velvet box. I wanted to do something special, something that symbolizes new beginnings. Her breath hitched. She thought she knew what was coming. She thought this was a proposal, a renewal of vows. She thought she was winning. I slid the box across the table toward her. "Open it," I said. She hesitated, a nervous laugh bubbling up as her manicured fingers lifted the lid. For a moment, time stood still. Her expression didn't change immediately. There was a flicker of confusion, her brain trying to process what she was seeing. Inside the box wasn't a ring. It was a stack of photographs. Her entire affair was documented. Her and Daniel in his car, leaving a hotel, holding hands at work when they thought no one was looking. Amanda froze. Her breathing hitched, her fingers trembling as she flipped through the photos. The room fell into a horrified silence. Her face drained of color so quickly I thought she might pass out. Before she could even form a single excuse, another voice cut through the tension. "Christine's in trance. You cheating, disgusting piece of garbage." Christine screamed. All heads turned as she stepped forward, holding her own collection of evidence, screenshots, emails, hotel receipts, everything she had gathered after I tipped her off. Daniel's chair scraped against the floor as he shot up, his face pale, his hands shaking. Amanda whipped around, eyes darting between me and Christine. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. What is this?" she stammered. "I can explain," she said. "No, you can't," I cut in coldly. Daniel looked like he was about to be sick. His hands gripped the edge of the table. His eyes were pleading with Christine. "Baby, please," he begged. "Oh, shut the hell up, Daniel," Christine snapped, shoving a folder of evidence into his chest. "You think I didn't already hire a divorce lawyer? You're done." Amanda turned back to me, her mask completely shattered. Her eyes were wild, desperate. "Please," she whispered, "we can talk about this." I leaned forward slightly. My voice was low. "You had months to tell me the truth," I said. "Months to come clean. But you didn't." Tears welled in her eyes. "I love you," she began. I interrupted her with a cold, humorless laugh. "You love me," I repeated. "You spent months lying to my face, sleeping with another man, texting him while you were sitting across from me at the dinner table." Her eyes filled with tears. I know, and I hate myself for it." I tilted my head. "Do you, though? Or do you just hate that you got caught?" She swallowed hard, silent. That was my answer. I stepped back. "This, whatever you came here for, it's not happening. We're done, Amanda." She grabbed my wrist, her last attempt to hold on to something already dead. "Jason, please," she begged, sobbing. I pulled my hand away. "Go home, Amanda." She sobbed once, a raw, broken sound. Then, finally, she turned and walked away. I watched her go, waiting until she disappeared down the hall. Then I shut the door. And with that, I moved forward. A month later, I was sitting on my balcony, drinking my morning coffee, when my phone buzzed. I glanced down, expecting it to be my lawyer or another notification about the finalized divorce. But it wasn't. It was Christine. "Hey, just checking in. Hope you're doing well. Let's grab dinner soon." I stared at the message for a long moment, a smirk forming at the corner of my lips. I typed back a quick reply. "Sounds good. Friday at 7. Send." And just like that, I moved forward. For real this time. As I sat there, feeling the cool breeze on my face, I realized that everything had shifted. The man I had been, desperate for answers, desperate to fix things, was gone. That night at the rooftop, I had finally set everything into motion. It wasn't about the revenge itself. Not really. It was about taking back the control I had lost over the years. And now, I was free from the lies, free from the suffocating grasp of a marriage that had been built on deceit. The next few days were filled with an eerie sense of calm. The aftermath of the night we had shattered into pieces settled, leaving only the dust of what was once a life I had tried so hard to protect. Amanda's desperate texts, her voicemails, her attempts to reach out. They all became just another part of the noise I was no longer interested in listening to. At first, they were pleading. Jason, please. Please talk to me. I can explain. Deleted. Then, they turned manipulative. You blindsided me. How could you do this to me in front of everyone? We could have fixed this. Deleted. And finally, the anger came. You smug, vindictive bastard. You ruined my life. You think you're some kind of hero? You'll regret this. I smirked as I shook my head. She still didn't get it. She had already lost. 3 days later, Christine texted me again. You're going to love this. Check the news. I did. And sure enough, Daniel's downfall was swift and unrelenting. His company had launched an internal investigation after multiple women came forward with similar complaints about him. Christine hadn't just exposed him publicly. She had sent copies of the affair records to his firm's board of directors. Since Amanda had been his subordinate, it violated company policy. Daniel was terminated immediately. He lost his job, his reputation, and his future. Christine filed for divorce the next morning, going after everything she could get. By the end of the week, Daniel was living in a cheap motel on the other side of town. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. A week after the dinner, Amanda showed up at my new apartment. I wasn't surprised. I had ignored every single attempt she made to contact me. She was desperate now. I opened the door just enough to meet her eyes. She looked like a wreck, her makeup smudged, her hair messy, her once perfect confidence completely shattered. Jason, she whispered, please, can we talk? I stared at her for a long moment, then finally spoke. Talk about what, Amanda? Her bottom lip trembled. I made a mistake. God, I don't even know why I did it. I was stupid. I was selfish. But I swear to you, it didn't mean I stopped loving you. I let out a small laugh, cold and humorless. Didn't mean you stopped loving me? I repeated, you spent months lying to my face, sleeping with another man, texting him while you were sitting across from me at the dinner table. Her eyes filled with tears. I know, and I hate myself for it. I tilted my head. Do you, though? Or do you just hate that you got caught? She swallowed hard, silent. That was my answer. I stepped back. Whatever you came here for, it's not happening. We're done, Amanda. She grabbed my wrist, her last attempt to hold on to something already dead. Jason, please. I pulled my hand away. Go home, Amanda. She sobbed once, a raw, broken sound. Then, finally, she turned and walked away. I watched her go, waiting until she disappeared down the hall. Then, I shut the door. And with that, I moved forward. A month later, I was sitting on my balcony, drinking my morning coffee, when my phone buzzed. I glanced down, expecting it to be my lawyer or another notification about the finalized divorce. But it wasn't. It was Christine. Hey, just checking in. Hope you're doing well. Let's grab dinner soon. I stared at the message for a long moment, a smirk forming at the corner of my lips. I typed back a quick reply. Sounds good. Friday at 7. Send. And just like that, I moved forward. For real this time.